Mr. Scoville, again, just to make sure, because I'm one of those Democrats that didn't get here those Tiger grants, but I do want to put it for the records that we don't want to give the impression that Secretary Fox is the only one doing this. Republicans have done it, like HUD was a Republican, and I'm sure that other folks have done this. So this is nothing new that a Democrat is doing. Is that correct?
It is nothing new. The Tiger program, Mr. Cuellar, is fairly new within the department. It was instituted, as the committee remembers, in the aftermath of the Recovery Act. It's attracted a lot of attention and a lot of energy throughout the department, and we're now in the 8th round, and $5 billion have been allocated through this system. The department has a pretty robust effort underway to vet and clean up as many applications as they can each round.
Thank you. Let me ask both of you. I'll start off with Mr. Montoya from El Paso, Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about the Improper Payment Eliminations Recovery Act of 2010. I've added language already in other appropriation bills about improper payments. There's some of them that have just gone to huge amounts, billions of dollars. Usually what members of Congress, what we set up is we add in, set a goal, report back to Congress. If we would add some language that would say, at least eliminate improper payments by 10%, per year, would that be a reasonable number? I know that I believe the goal for HUD was 3.8, I think, or something like that, somewhere. So if we put a higher threshold, we put 10%, actually telling HUD and the Department of Transportation on their improper payments. Would that be something reasonable that they could accomplish? And Mr. Chairman, the reason I'm asking that is we know there's the improper payments, and I think the problem is, like, for example, HUD, they're talking about, having out-of-date information and those type of billing errors. Would 10% be reasonable? And I'll ask both of you gentlemen that question. And if you want to take Mr. Montoya the first, and then Mr. Scoville after that.
Thank you, Mr. Cuellar, for the question. It's difficult for me to say, sir. I can tell you that previously their percentage was a lot higher. When they didn't meet it, they decided to lower it to make it something they could reach, and they did reach it this last year. But they're still into the $1 billion mark when you talk about improper payments. The concern I have as an IG is I think I'm one of the only IGs who doesn't do the investigative work on IPA within the department. The department does its own investigations on violations of improper payments. And it looked like they did reduce it from $5 billion to $1.2 billion over the last 8 to 10 years. So they've made definitely some significant recovery. But
even the last 10 years, that means we paid billions of dollars of improper payments.
Right.
And the reason I'm saying it, and I'm glad they done that, but what are we supposed to do as the oversight, provide oversight through the appropriations when we see agencies that are just every year they're paying billions of dollars of improper payments? If you were sitting over here, what would you put, what sort of language would you put in if there's anything possible that, we could add?
Well, it goes back to
both of y'all.
I beg your pardon. It goes back to something I said, and that's this lack of enterprise approach to what's going on in the department. It's too siloed. It's sort of every silo for himself. There's not this enterprise approach to really what's going on. How can we get a handle on improper payments from an enterprise-wide perspective as opposed to just each program doing its own thing? It's certainly something I could think about and get back to you, sir. I don't know that I've got an answer for you at this point in time, though.
Well, appreciate any language on that. And Mr. Scoville, and then I think my time will be up. But Mr. Chairman, there's other committees that do the same. Other agencies. It's just a huge problem to the taxpayers in the billions of dollars. But Mr. Scoville, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Cuellar. You're right. It is a huge problem at the Department of Transportation. It is a problem and remains a problem despite the department's best efforts. Our focus from the OIG has been on examining the system of internal controls that several of our most financially well-endowed administrations are responsible for, particularly with regard to FTA and federal highways, because both of them operate more with grants than they do with procurements or contracting themselves. And as the committee knows, once a grantee has been approved, the grantee for a particular project, that grantee may draw down on its own from funds that the department has custody of. The level of oversight in that drawdown process is absolutely critical. Both highways and FTA have control mechanisms in place, but frankly, when we've looked at them, they haven't been wholly sufficient. And over time and many reports, we have tried to recommend improvements in those controls.
Mr. Chairman, my time is up, but I would just ask the chairman and the ranking member that if you notice, they said there was a higher number, so they didn't meet it. So, okay, let's make them look better. So well, not y'all, but let's lower the amount because they couldn't meet it. I would love to work with y'all on improper payments because it's, I don't think it's fair to the taxpayers when we're talking about billions of dollars every year. But anyway, thank you for the good work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.